I was excited. I pushed the button.
Push the button.
I pushed the button.
Sweet escape, Bambos. Sweet escape.
To nowhere.
Why is it that I'm more excited about this hiatus than you are?
I don't have a life. This is one of the only reasons I had for leaving the house on a daily basis.
I've taken away your one reason to get out of the house.
Well, I'm still going to show up at your house. So today, guys, we're going to discuss our favorite episodes. Me and Andy kind of prepared for it.
Kind of. It's 150 episodes. And if I can work out words from my mouth, maybe we'll get to the end of this thing.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss our favorites, some of our favorites, maybe not just our favorites, but the reasons why there are themes in the show that were important to me, and I'm assuming to you, and we'll do that today on
A Wonderful Chaos.
So, 150.
150, guys. 150.
150.
How many?
150. Although this is the 149th episode, it doesn't include the episode we did on the weekend. I don't know if you remember that episode we did on the weekend.
We had 2.5s actually, so it's 151 technically speaking.
Interesting. I know one of them. I don't know what the other one was. I know we had one man who started the Free Hugs campaign on a Sunday. I needed to work on the Sunday to get him to do it. Yes.
So I see Bulelang and JC.
They're here.
Hi, guys.
I think we jump right in. No reason to mess about.
Come on.
I had a hard time picking the shows that were most important to me for a lot of reasons. First of all, I don't have a very good memory. So when I think of a show, I don't think of what was spoken during the show. I think, what did the shows mean to me? And if I looked at them that way, there were a lot of shows that meant a lot to me, and the content may have just been horrible, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So I thought about some of them, and I remembered some moments that jumped out at me. So I highlighted those, and I thought we go into those one by one. So the first one that I wanted to show was an early episode where you weren't part of it. And I wanted to show that because it was one of the first moments on the show when it had a massive impact for me in my life. And it was with Phyllis Serene.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to show this one. So this is basically, I was not aware, but a week after this episode, she ended her life, but she had cancer, and it was expected. She hinted at it on the show, but she didn't say, a week from now, I'm planning to end my life. So there was a strange connection I felt with her. And there was a moment when I feel like often, and I always tell you, when I leave someone, I want to leave them and tell them what they mean to me. And for me, it felt weird because I felt like a sense of loss, but I also felt like it was incredible that I got to share with her how important that time was to me. So I wanted to show that because that was for me really important, and it sort of validated the reason why I like to live with such urgency. So this was that show, or that episode. Let me get us onto I forgot. I also need to get to the screen to push play. This is fantastic. First of all, I just want to let you know I love you. You know,
in Lakesh, brother.
When I did this happened, 2 weeks ago, and the whole idea was like, wow, I get to spend time with people I like and people I appreciate. Like, it was sort of like weird, like how incredible is it that I get to take time that I would otherwise, I don't know what I would do with, but create a situation where I can just be with people that I love and appreciate. And then it was so weird. It was like, oh yeah, if I do this, I have a reason to like say, Phyllis, let's get on a call,
Yeah, that was fun.
And so thank you for that. Yeah,
thank you.
And so, yeah, I wanted to start with that because if we hadn't begun the show, I wouldn't have reached out to Phyllis because she wasn't giving any indication that she was actually planning to end her life, right? She didn't end it in terms of she was dying of cancer and she just chose to end it on her own terms. But there was a lot of things I learned from that episode that could make me even cry right now. Is the strength. We spent an entire episode and we did not discuss that a week from now she didn't plan on being on the planet. We spent an entire about her passion for life, around her excitement, around laughing at her past. So she lived up until these last moments of her life. And I just felt so incredible that I got to spend part of those last moments with her. And yeah, that was really, it was emotional for me because I thought to myself, wow, if I hadn't have shown up for the show, that I wouldn't have had that opportunity to spend that time with her. Who knows? But I don't think that would have happened. So that show was really emotionally important for me on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the one I started with. Yeah. Should we go to one of yours just to check out something you did?
I would say just put them in order so we don't.
But I did more than you did, so possibly I could be reminiscing around all the shows that I had done. You're like, yeah, but what about mine?
Addressing sexual abuse.
That was that one. Yeah.
Okay, so living with gratitude.
Living with gratitude. Yeah, that was one you put on.
Yeah.
So let's play that. Happy to be alive. I just feel joy of being here at this moment. I feel with Ronnie, I feel constant gratitude over and over again that I'm together with someone that I love, respect, and admire. So in that way, there's this deep, deep gratitude that goes beyond, for instance, any argument there might be. And I see when people lose that gratitude, then all of a sudden they fall back into that reactive mind, which has resentment and frustration and anger and everything that builds up over time. So, so that was why I chose gratitude. Yeah.
Like, this must be one of my most listened to podcasts, the gratitude. And again, it's not really taking the content to heart, but just especially how you share how you live gratitude and how you live it in your relationships with your wife, with just now Phyllis. I feel it. And the reason this has been a really important show for me is I listened to it especially when my business was doing really bad during COVID. And I just couldn't find anything to hold on to. And your words actually gave me that peace. Like just even coming here feeling shitty and feeling grateful.
Wow.
And I also had a friend whose mother passed away, and she also messaged that podcast on gratitude. It really helped me find peace with my mother's death.
Beautiful.
So it's really been a podcast that for me, everyone should listen to it. It just ripples a lot of love.
What episode number was that? So for those that might be interested.
65.
Number 65.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think gratitude has been one of those themes that have come up over and over again in all of our time. I would say most of the people that we bring on the show do have some degree of gratitude because I think without gratitude, it's hard to just be at peace. So most people that don't live with some degree of gratitude have a hard time coming on a show like this because if you don't have gratitude, it isn't comfortable to be asked questions in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to see what else is on the
menu,
on the docket. Let's see. We've got what's the next number?
Influence versus.
Oh no, we have a few numbers before that. We have 63, making animations with number 63 with Kirk Scott. This episode. This episode sort of amplified something that you and I experience on this side of that camera often. And it was done with such sort of a massive shift in such a quick time that I thought I wanted to highlight it, because on the show with Kirk Scott, we would often ask him the questions and he would respond almost from the autopilot. And I was like, we're not about the autopilot. We're really here to see you. And I broke and asked him to respond from another place, which caught me and I think him off guard. So I wanted to show that. And I think that was what these moments are, what make the show so special for me. And when they happen, you don't plan them. And sometimes they shock you. And this is one of those moments that shocked me as well. The line for you, as I hear it, was sort of like your memory of what it felt like to be in your strength.
Yes. And a chance to kind of get back and to really contribute and be a vital part of a project. Yeah.
And when I asked you how you felt when you saw the trailer, I was actually more curious, like how emotionally at this very moment in your time and in your life, how does it affect you when you see it?
It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet because that, like I said, that was Leica's first project. They've done about I think 4 other features since then.
But slow down. Yeah. I want to get you to your cry space. I want you to look at me.
Okay. Yeah,
and I want to say, like, how do you feel when you see it?
I feel sad because God damn it. I feel sad. My good friend Pete Kazachek, that was the last film he had a chance to really do. And he's around, but he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 5 years ago. And we went through that with Monica's dad with Parkinson's dementia. It was a long process, and that slow death, that slow loss, that notion of who they were, that you forget in the process because they are
they disintegrate.
They're not that person in the moment, and that and not that Pete's not past or anything, but I know, having lost Monica's father, that it's that grieving you have that when they do pass, you're grateful, and then you feel guilty because you feel grateful that their suffering is over. It's so death. I mean, it's such a fucking mind. I'm sorry, but that's where when I see Coraline, I think about.
Yeah.
It still touches me to watch that.
Yeah. I might cry when I see that. And that's been for me the essence of a lot of our shows, is that we'll listen to people spinning their wheels a little bit, and sometimes we can say, can you meet us in the space where it's not as comfortable? And sometimes I see they'll come and join us there, and other times not. There's no problem if they don't, but when something like that happens, it kicks me back on my ass, because although I'm inviting it, I don't expect it. So in this case, I invited it and he just jumped right in. And then I actually even felt a little bit bad. Like, oh my God, did I push it too hard? Like, because the intention was the invitation, not the, I said, go to your space, because we discussed it before the show began. Yeah. And he knew what I was actually asking for, and to be with him, what I felt, to really be with him. And he let us be with him, and it was really beautiful. Yeah. So that was really a special moment for me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that one. This one?
No, share the audio. Yeah. This was just there were 3 shows, I think maybe 4, where Ronnie was on.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go into all of them, but this was a very important and special one, because in some ways this show has also altered who I have in my environment. There's people that I now have more contact with, even if it's not directly, because they watch every day. So they know me better or as well as anyone else in my life. And this was a funny, special moment because, as you know, I celebrated my 50th birthday on the show with Ronnie, And those that don't know, Ronnie and I share the same birthday. And on that show was the first time that I got to meet Bolalong. And this is it, because it was very funny. Bolalong is now with us on the show. I have this couple over here that I'd love. I got to headphones came up. We have to pop these people on because we just don't know who they are to say hello.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hello.
Nice hello.
I don't know if we can hear you.
You guys are muted.
Are you muted? Or are you? Oh, you mute. Maybe I have to unmute Mike.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. Now I can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. No, the person that I know is Bambos.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And from you, it's the book. We once had a chat with your publisher. By the way, the publishers.
John Kohler.
Yes, I was in that chat, and that's where I learned about your books. It is on my to-read list.
Nice.
Yes, but I liked your spirit then.
Thank you.
You've got a calming effect, and I understand why Bambos is like that also.
Yeah. And where are you calling from?
We are from South Africa, in Cape Town.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So that was kind of one of these beautiful moments, because when you do something like this, you have no clue where it goes, right? Like first you kind of think, okay, maybe I'll have my friends, maybe they'll watch. Okay, maybe people that are interested in my work watch. And then all of a sudden I've got this guy in South Africa I've never met who's jumping on my birthday call where people I've known for God knows 50 of those years didn't call for the birthday call, right? So in that way, what I've cherished from this period is that people like the JCs and the Bolalongs of the world, that they've just sort of been there, supported us. Even if they don't watch an episode, they're going to send a like just to show their support for what we're doing and knowing what we're trying to achieve with just being present with people.
I think Bolalong missed one show.
Yeah. We'll hold them accountable. But I think that for me speaks to, if I look back at the shows, you'll notice there's some general themes of the shows are maybe not as important to me as what the meaning of the whole action around A Wonderful Chaos is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was actually a really beautiful manifestation of that.
Yeah.
We have, I think, Living with Gratitude, right?
We've done that.
Did we do Living with Gratitude? Oh, yeah, we did do that, didn't we?
65.
And then where are we?
79.
79. Oh, yeah, this is a special show.
Yeah.
A lot of people really like this show, actually. Show 79, I've got a brain tumor with Benoit. I always call him Benoit. Benoit Leray. This video was done, I guess, a week or two before he actually had his operation.
1 week, 10 days.
10 days before. And why I like this video is because, and we were criticized for this at the time, was that I don't think that people realize when people are not in an easy or difficult situation, you don't want to add to their difficulty by putting your heaviness into their heads. So part of the joy I get in life is that the joy of laughter, even when it may not feel like it's time to laugh, because life is precious and every moment is to be enjoyed. So this is one of those moments when I thought, wow, we really got to enjoy this moment, even if we're talking 10 days before his operation.
So
I'm pretty sure that I could come up with an incredible concept to get a viral video out of this.
Yeah.
Like what I think would be really good is if I like when Bambos looks at me with those eyes. He knows I'm scheming. Whenever he looks at those eyes, I think it would be interesting after the operation if you got a GoPro camera of some sort, or you just secretly recorded, and everyone you saw, no matter who they were, you just said to them, "Should I know you?"
Oh yeah.
Should I know you? Just record their reaction.
This is on the roadmap as well. So I hope a lot of them don't watch the movie right now. But definitely, I will play that game, especially at work. Like, Do I know you? Have we ever collaborated before? Sorry, hello. My name is Benoit.
Man.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he really enjoyed being on the show, and I've been meeting him once every 2 weeks for breakfast. We have breakfast together now.
Yeah.
And he's doing really well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a struggle, but he's doing well.
Yeah, we saw him. He came to the building 3 days ago, maybe, or so.
Last Sunday.
Oh, is that right?
We had a photo shoot.
Yeah, his podcast will be coming out as well. We haven't published it yet because we wanted to end the podcast with his current state. A lot of people have been asking how the operation went. It went okay, but there were complications.
Yeah.
There was bacteria in his skull, which meant that there was fluid buildup, and he had to go back in for, I think it was now two more operations, where at this very moment, he actually has skull has been removed.
Like a big part of it.
Yeah.
So his head's a bit
indented. And he's actually taking this because the old skull, which had the bacteria, the infection that kept coming back, they're now making a prosthetic skull, and then that'll be put in a few months. And he should be actually walking around with some sort of brace around his head to protect it. But
yeah,
Benoit isn't that type of person. So yeah, I really thought that was a beautiful show. I really enjoyed having him and joking, enjoying that, that the fun, the play of life. I hope that, like, when I'm kind of edging towards my end, I'm not sitting around living in misery, but just taking in and laughing my way through the last moments of
I'll make
life.
sure of it. especially if you're going to be a moaning puss.
Exactly. I'll be laughing my way through it. There is
the power of silence.
The power of silence. This was possibly one of my favorite shows. And I think the reason for me, you can speak to it though as well. I mean, because this was one of both of our shows.
Yeah. I think this just demonstrates when I don't remember we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. And in fact, we said, if we have nothing to say, then say nothing. And in a way, this show was about silence. We demonstrated what it means to hold space.
Yeah. I think the thing that I loved about this show was that episode, I don't even know what episode that was, but what I loved about this show was that it really was a moment, 87, where I didn't care who was watching. It was like, I remembered this show is what we are experiencing. They get to join us if they want or not. And that felt really special because in some ways, as we did it, the more people were viewing, I remember JC afterwards kind of writing me saying, Andy, what the hell just happened? I don't know what I took part in, sort of thing. He thought his audio went out, he said, because he couldn't quite understand, nothing was going on. But let's just play a bit. This was us for all of that whole session.
Have to be careful not to spit on
the keyboard.
I was going
to say.
That was hilarious. I mean, the stuff that we do.
Yes. So that for me was one of these episodes that no one will probably watch. Because why would you? You're watching two people stare into a camera and not say a word for the most part.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that though. I mean, I was doing my 1 hour of silences.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised when people would say, I would just click on you and it would ground me and then I'd go do my things again. So if you need grounding, just watch that episode.
But I guess on the opposite side, that's a video. And I keep thinking to myself, what about if you're on the other end of a podcast? So this is cut for a podcast where they don't have a video. I just think to myself, you're now watching and listening to nothing, basically. So this was another episode that I really, really loved. And I loved it because I had to sort of sit with my feelings before the episode. I think you maybe had less of that than I did, as far as I know, because you've lived a more intense life, so you, I think, can connect to these kind of intense experiences of another person. I've lived a pretty vanilla life. I've never been homeless. I've never had major drug addictions or been in kind of scary, violent, potential situations. So in that sense, it hasn't been that difficult. But, Kenny Johnson, and this is episode 96, he spent over 20 years of his life in prison and feeling like, wow, like I just, and I think he mentioned on the show that there are two people that he either almost killed or killed in prison. I mean, he lived an intense life. So to like sort of be there with him and share what life looks like when you've gone through all that and you've evolved into another state, that was really a special episode for me, knowing everything he'd been through. And this is you asking him a question. I'm wondering, Bambos, if the sound on this, it looks like someone just said sound. I think we're missing the sound on this video. So we might have to play it again.
Oh God. Go to the settings. Did I do audio? Did you do audio?
I'll do it. And it was, I think if that wasn't said, we'll play it again just in case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it is such a beautiful one, and I don't even know where it is, but let's just try to see if we can get it.
I think we didn't do audio, Andy.
Yeah, that could happen, and sometimes we'll try it again. See if that works.
Okay, guys, give us a heads up.
Okay, Bambos, you're good.
I am.
Hey, namaste.
Namaste.
I bow to that, brother.
So what? This moment, I've noticed that you have this beautiful laugh, and I'm wondering how long did it take you to start laughing from your belly? Because I really feel it's a deep, genuine belly.
Yeah. So you asked a very great question. It was when I met my teacher, Gandhi, in federal prison. Once I met her and had what we would call a spiritual awakening, my whole body woke up, became happy, became joyous, because when you're having an awakening experience, or when you fall in love, or when you meet love or experience love in your body, you just, oh my God, man, I've been chasing sex, I've been chasing drugs, I've been chasing this. Look at all this love here, and you fall in love with yourself, you fall in love with life, you fall in love with everything. The guards was beautiful to me. I mean, the prison fish was beautiful. I mean, everything was beautiful because I found love finally. And what I realized, Bumbles, all my life I had been looking for this love.
Oof. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that was a beautiful. And what happened to me? Oh, do you have something?
No, go on.
What happened to me when I was watching and experiencing him speaking was that I was really feeling into how our lives were not all that dissimilar. So in some ways, we'll often look at life and say, hey, we've had such different lives. But I'm like, wow, when you're awakening and your whole body is tingling and you're feeling how beautiful it is to be alive, it's true. It doesn't matter where you are. And it's like you live outside of the confines of this consciousness that we've been programmed at that moment to think is real. And all of a sudden we're beyond that. We're feeling love for everything and everyone. And it's hard because if one hasn't necessarily felt or had that experience, then it sounds like a pipe dream. But if you've sort of felt into it, had the sort of an inkling of it, when you hear somebody else speak from that, you're like, wow, it almost connects you back to that feeling in yourself. So I really enjoyed Kenny's,
But you can see also as he was speaking, his whole body was vibrating.
Yeah.
Like the full congruency, full embodiment of what he was saying.
Yeah.
Or he could have just said it, well, when
exactly. Totally out of
there was this moment where I felt a lot of love and my whole body was shaking.
I've heard a lot of people talk about their enlightening experiences like that, where actually I was in the shower and all of a sudden everything dropped out underneath me. Wow.
The next show is kind of exciting, Andy.
What's that one?
I was working, so again, your wonderful wife took over.
I don't even know where this was taken on our, and I don't, it's not the clip that interests me about this. I think, as I mentioned, I think there's 4 occasions now where Ronnie was on the show. And it was always special because this isn't something Ronnie necessarily gets excited about, or she doesn't, but she came on and she really showed up. And a lot of people were watching these shows and they felt afterwards, I got these messages, like they felt like it was uncomfortable watching us because it was like they were in an intimate conversation and they didn't feel like they belonged there. So I just thought, let's just show a little bit of a clip of like how those episodes ran. And this was just one of them, one of the few that we did together.
And it's a bit different for him because he's been spending some years actually homeschooling his kids.
Yeah.
So he's already used to it. He's already used to it. Yeah.
You're together with me for 15 years, right? Is that about right?
2006.
What do you dislike about me most? What's the quality of me that frustrates or irritates me? What is it? What is the things?
Yeah, that somehow the existence of laundry baskets doesn't apply to you.
Laundry basket?
So as in, you put your clothes on the floor.
Yes, it's staging. I call them staging areas, baby.
Yes, and you gave me an explanation once. You said, if I put it on the floor here, that means it's clean. If I put it on the floor there, that means that's dirty.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
No. But maybe dirty, but it can be worn again.
Yes, Andy.
Yeah. That was, part of doing the show for me has been really being me, letting people see whoever it is that I am, even to other people. Yeah. And not, none of the pretense of let me position myself or present myself in a light that makes me look good. Screw that. Just let's really hear how it is. And that was just a fun moment where who knows what's going to come out of her mouth. She could have really.
My favorite moments of the show with you is when you talk about your smell.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As you're getting older, your smell.
It is. I had it.
And you're not putting this lemon stuff on.
I didn't put the lemon stuff on. I did. I was about to. I was like, had it in my hand today, and I was like, oh.
Can I get you something for Christmas?
No, you can't. I've got enough downstairs already for.
But it's all chemical, synthetic stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's nice. Oh wow! So let's see what else we've got in our bag of tricks, Bambos.
Dying out loud.
Dying out loud. Interesting. Yeah.
This
was one you picked, right?
Yeah, let's just play it and
see that kind of.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing I see. We're talking about you and ALS here specifically, but I see in live, we don't give people the opportunity to meet us in our vulnerability, and that's the gift that we take away from them, because they actually can share with us an experience, which I find to be so lovely. And,
it is. That's the thing I've learned
I've seen with my Dying Out Loud that I've been doing the last year and a half. Oh, speaking of Marie, she popped up.
Yes. Maria's saying hello to us.
Yeah. As I've opened up about my journey and been vulnerable and transparent, I have heard from so many people literally all over the world who have taken some kind of inspiration and courage from my story. And it's been one of the most gratifying things, probably the most gratifying time of my life, which is.
Yeah. So Dave Warnock is someone we had on our guests, and he is dying out loud in a way that he has ALS, right? And I think what you summarized at that point, Andy, was for me really key, because a lot of times we hide the thing which can actually create more connection. And I know it more than anyone in my life. And I've learned it through you doing these shows. When I share where I'm at, it actually invites people closer to me instead of me thinking that I'm going to be a burden to them.
Yeah.
So this episode really took me away. Yeah.
Yeah, I take that such as a second nature. It's hard for me because now it's embedded in my system. I forget the years actually that I blamed other people for my inability to be vulnerable. And I think most people do it still. I'm not able to share with you because I already know how you're going to react. And then I'm resentful to you for not letting me be the way I want to be, because you won't let me be the way I want to be, as if that person is the one that controls the way you get to be in life. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing. There's something else. There's another thing that came out of that as well, was that if we were going to rename the show, it would kind of be Wounded Healers, right? And because I think if you look at like this general theme that went through, everyone had to some degree overcome something in their lives. Like they had to deal with something that was hard and rough that they just manifested through the healing, like a clam that takes in the dirt and then makes a pearl. Like we on the show basically went through the journeys of so many people who had that little irritant and then turned it into a pearl. And that really feels like a good portion of our shows were on that. And this is Dave Warnock's message was very much his ALS diagnosis was his irritant. And the pearl he made from that was his sharing that this is the moment and cherish it. And that was really, really beautiful. Yeah. What have we got on
This is the last one, Andy.
Oh, nice. Well, we'll have a few more we'll go through, but this is nice.
Yeah, this one I picked it because this was a show where I felt really triggered, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I knew in the moment, like you were being my mirror, and it was so hard for me to receive. Like I went home and I knew that there was a big lesson in this show. And when I rewatched it 2 more times, I had such I wanted to sleep, to not see myself. So it was for me taking a step towards loving the manipulator in me and fully owning it when it is there.
Yeah, I didn't like this show because I was always thinking people won't understand I'm mentoring you. They'll just think I'm an asshole, but that's okay.
And for the record, he is an asshole.
Exactly.
He just wants to take. I just stop because I know that's going to just sabotage the whole process.
But you say we're talking about business in general or cold calling?
Cold emailing or cold calling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. If you feel in the response from the other person that there's something there that doesn't feel right, you don't push it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I've actually never pushed it on a call with a potential client.
It's hard to do it on a call. It would be more like a client that maybe calls you because they found you through a friend and wants you to do photo shoot and say, I got a great network. Can you do it for half the price? I like this. This is a nice discussion from Bolalang. I learned of mirroring from NLP. Okay, I've never done NLP, so I am assuming that it makes sense that it did come from NLP. I tried it and it works even though it is manipulation. Interesting.
Yeah, I can see that.
See, I would say it's manipulation depending on the intention with which it's done. So if you are doing it with the intention of manipulating the person, then I wouldn't be able to do it. I do it with the intention of not alienating the person. Why would I want to make them feel uncomfortable? That would be my feeling towards it. I'm taking them into account.
Yeah, and for me, if I hear you speak, there is still that it is a form of manipulation. And even though you've addressed it in a different way.
No, it's not manipulation. It is manipulation for you. It's not for me. That's what I'm telling you. Because the way you see it is manipulation. So yes, you are right. It is manipulation.
That point was such a big lesson for me. Like,
what did you take out of that lesson?
Well, the fact that I was saying something, believing it, made it true. Yeah. And like, you cannot change someone's mind pretty much if there's no space to question their belief. And as you were speaking, I can even see myself right now. I could feel the contraction in my chest because somewhere in me, I knew there was a truth to what you were speaking to.
Yeah.
And I wasn't creating the space for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of funny because even as I hear how I spoke about it, I also know that what I said in a context wasn't true, but that wasn't the point. People that watch could get confused, of course, but it's our language a bit. It's if I hold on to a belief, at that moment, I'll get stuck when I'm with somebody else because I understand that all beliefs can be seen from so many different perspectives. So yes, it is manipulation, and yes, it is not manipulation at the same time. Yeah, but I guess what was important for me was that, and it was a mentoring moment for me, was that once you see that if it's seen as manipulation, then you try not to manipulate. That's very different than saying, oh, I just want to do what feels best to make the relationship work.
Yeah.
It's a wholly different way of interacting with the world.
Yeah. And I guess also as I'm moving through life since this episode, just being aware of the intention as I'm doing things.
Okay. And what's different than in the intention?
Oh, so if I feel I want to get something as opposed to I want to give, I kind of slow it down, but not that I want to get is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But owning it.
Nice.
So thank you.
My pleasure. There was a little bit of one of those episodes when I was like, okay, how is this one going to go down afterwards? Thank God we don't have that much viewership.
Stop saying that.
Bolalong writes a nice one, which I really enjoyed this comment from Bolalong. Bolalong says, there's one thing that runs through all the shows that makes me love A Wonderful Chaos. The host speaks with people in a way that there's no host and guest, and people feel at home.
Yeah.
And that would be very much, he's encapsulated what makes the show so special for me, and which confuses a lot of our guests. Because a lot of our guests haven't seen a show before they come on, and afterwards they're like, what just happened to me? Some of them would have said, for the first half hour, I was sort of like thinking that we were doing this the right way, and then the last half hour, we were just talking with friends.
Yeah.
And what I think is gorgeous is that we don't know a lot of these people, but after that hour, they feel like friends. And that's the energy of no authority, us being together, meeting of minds, and just connecting meaningfully about subjects that touch us, and I believe others that are watching.
Yeah. Do you want to pull another one?
Yeah, I had a lot. I'd like to do the following, because what I wanted to do is take out themes, and then what I thought I wanted to do is talk about episodes where we might not show a video, but there's clusters of episodes which have general themes, and I'd like to discuss those as general themes we've taken on.
Nice.
Because we have taken on some themes through it. And yeah, I'd love to kind of like dig into that a little bit. We could also maybe talk. So here is the list of basically all of our shows, right? You can go to YouTube and you'll find this yourself. What I loved, we didn't do one show, by the way, which was also on my list. I'm going to show this one. We didn't show Sean Opanui, show 104. Sean Opanui was basically, his parents had him when they were 13 years old. He was a professional NBA player. And there was a moment on the show with him, or a few moments, and I'd like to show it and then discuss it a little bit, because there was something special that happened there. Getting work again. You're gainfully employed.
Yeah, it comes at a really weird time, actually. Because,
I didn't lose. Okay, so let me see if I can find the spot. I thought I had it. But
for most of my life. Had I not found that 94-foot box, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Finally embracing my loneliness and have an opportunity with 3 of my own kids and 3 more Hanai kids to shower with love and yeah.
I remember when my dad kicked me out of the house. That was, it was interesting because I just tapped on a moment, not knowing where I was going to be in the video, and it captured the essence of what I loved about being with Sean. Is that when we were with Sean, he maybe was one of the few guests that was more emotional than we were. Did you like he, when I spoke about the 2 rules of my mom, one being don't drink, drive, and always use a condom. He sat and he began to cry, thinking, Andy, your mom's rule was don't drink and drive, and that's how she was killed. And I've always said that an individual's capacity to hold that pain and let it be shown helps another person connect to it. So what Sean gave me on that show was this incredible reflection back of a moment I hadn't ever really let ground inside of me. I intellectualized it, but it just sitting there like, Andy, do you realize the one thing your mom asked of you was exactly the thing that killed her? And there was just something really incredible about that moment when he turned the tables and he became more of the interviewer than us, which is speaking to what Bolalang said, was that there is no person interviewing, it's friends interacting in a dialogue. So yeah, that was a really that was a beautiful moment for me on the show. Yeah.
Borderlands, another comment, Andy.
What was that?
Knowing people is something that takes time. A wonderful chaos makes it happen at a lightning fast speed.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing that I've trusted when we bring guests on, especially the first, say, 80 to 90 guests, we kind of knew. And then it was almost like we're working up to the people that we don't know at all before they get on the show, right? You're like the ones when they're on the air and I come up the stairs and then you're like, how do you know Andy? And they're like, we don't know Andy. And you're like, oh shit, why are they on the show? I mean, we got to a point where we could build and invite people to join us in this space in a way that I think really surprises them as well. And that's been a really great joy. Yeah. What I'd love to share are some of these going through episodes without showing the videos and just talk about a few of them, because there's some that were really interesting. Some of the themes were overcoming pain or telling stories, right?
Yeah.
And some of those, like if we look, remember this one week where we basically had I Stopped Sexual Abuse with Regina Marschneider, I believe. Like that show for me was exactly one of these wounded healer shows where we get to experience someone who was abducted and raped and left for dead. And then she comes back and does one of the most outrageous things, create a puppet show to find predators. So for me, just to hear her walk through her journey, like I even feel my skin already just like kind of vibrating. It's that intense. And that same week we had, it was our World War II kind of all the pain of the past week with our guest Nadia Taranchesky, and she talked about this intergenerational trauma with her grandparent or one of her grandparents being in a concentration camp. And for me, like bringing those shows on and holding space for them has been really special, especially with people who wouldn't normally do shows. On that same Friday, episode 105, we had on the show about My Mom Was a Spy. And I think it's wonderful because there's these people in my life that I know have these beautiful stories that never would really want to talk about them, but because they've trusted me, they've come on to have these discussions. And that was like a really special week of just people talking about. I remember you at the end of the week said, Andy, I don't know if I can take much more of this. Like the shows were just all so intense. Yeah.
Yeah, but yet we do them. I mean, this is why we do them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a mix of it, right? Some of those weird weeks they came together. What I thought were like beautiful ones. I look through the list now, and all I see are friends. So when I talk, I could talk to any single one of the friends and say, yeah, I love this episode for this reason or that episode for that reason. So I already see tons of friends that, you know, the episode that I liked least, which I think is also great. Do you have an episode? You don't want to say it if it has offense to any single individual, but I have one that I liked least.
Which one's that?
I had the worst one for me was the Jane Elliott show.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember the Jane Elliott show?
We had one for 10 minutes.
To a wonderful chaos.
Well, here's it.
Life,
Let's just see. There's Jane Elliott. So what happened on this show, which is kind of funny, is that, you know, I have a general rule that I don't want to be the one to tell others how they should live or what they should do. I get to decide how I live. You get to decide how you live. And we also agreed that if we have a show and the guest doesn't show up, we'll cover that topic. We'll speak about it. We'll speak about it from the point of which we can speak about it. We'll take, you know, whatever we could say. So in this episode, I was talking about racism and prejudice for a fucking hour. And you were just sitting there. This is the best. Look at you. Like, I'm just spanning through your face, just looking straight ahead. I got nothing to say here. So I'm feeling like, okay, there's not a lot of me. Like, you know, who am I to be speaking of this subject? That's all I had to think the whole time.
Yeah. Like even now, going back to this, like, Jesus, I can't believe we entertained this episode.
But I think it was still great because the chaos is not what we establish. It's what I learned from the actual doing. And I think the whole way I heard myself saying, you know what, like, who am I to be discussing about this? That's all I heard. And yet I said, but these are the things that I at least can say for myself. So that was really that was a hard one for me to muscle through. But beautiful, because in the way, again, I like the fact that we stuck to it, right? We didn't just say, oh, let's move on. It was like, no, this is a serious topic. We prepared for it, so let's go for it.
Oh, we didn't prepare for it.
Well, I did. I had a few videos, remember? Like Muhammad Ali and the things that really inspired me. But yeah, that was one of those episodes that I can't say that it was really, I got particularly excited about. Some of the ones that I think were really well watched, which is probably nice also to mention.
Oh, which ones?
The ones that really, you know, the one that sort of did exceptionally well was, I think it may have been the most watched.
Coming. He's just like, Jesus.
This is the illusion of money.
So today we are on with Peter Koenig.
Yeah, the Peter Koenig and the illusion of money. I mean, that one was viewed 400 some odd times. You know, not a massive viewership. A lot of the ones that are viewed a lot are often viewed on Facebook, but this one actually went the rounds. A lot of people really enjoyed it. And the thing that made this one so special was exactly going again to what Bolalang mentioned, is that we went from kind of halfway through understanding the projection and reclamation work to having Peter work with you directly around your own challenges with money. So the show had such a crazy twist in the middle that was really beautiful.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of that show about you as well, by the way.
What did you learn? Remember?
Yeah, I do. I've often had a hard time understanding some of the things that make your brain tick. So when Peter was working with you, he was making certain assumptions, and when he was coaching you on that show.
Yeah.
And then I laughed because I saw I was making the same assumptions, but seeing him do it with you was easier for me because I wasn't the one engaging it. Right? He was engaging you with, with your negative association with money. And then you were like, no, it's not a negative association. It's a positive association that keeps me active. So the same thing he was pointing as perceived from the outside as being a negative, you said, no, the fact that I live in scarcity makes me get up in the morning, makes me go do cold baths, so it's like you were cherishing fight. And we've interacted around that through the years. And it was nice to see him interact with you and see how he dealt with it, right? I don't see myself as any like wonder in this case. Just like you throw darts and some darts land and other darts don't, right? Yeah. So yeah, that was really nice. We had some more, I think, from Bolalang made some comments as well. It would be nice to see what Bolalang wrote on the...
Andy, I have learned through the show that we do not discuss from a point of being an expert on the topic.
Nice, yeah. If that's one
thing. He's a good
thing.
student, right?
He's it's kind of interesting because as far as I know, it's Bolalang. I called him actually 2 days ago just to say hello. But if you think about it, on our show, it's really like the people that stay and watch us, they really know us. You know what I mean? Like we're here on the show being us. There's no, pretend. The only thing I have to do is get in kind of a zone before I start the intro, because I have to create a context, and that does take some work. You'll notice before a guest comes on, I'll say, give me detail. I'm create. I have to put on that hat of how do I create a context for the show? But once that's done, I can sink back into just being present. But I do like a little bit of a game plan before we start. And that's sort of, other than that, that's who we are.
We have 3 more minutes, Andy. You sure pick one last one?
Oh, we can, or we can go back to, let's transition to the future.
Ooh.
We've only got 3 minutes to talk about the future. Bambos and I will not be here doing live shows for the next 2 months. We will be on hiatus. But during that time, we will be booking guests. So if you have guests that you believe need to be on the next, I call it the next season, but it's not really a season. We'll just continue the numbering. But the next season, then please let us know.
Yeah, we'll be back on the 3rd week of January.
We'll be back on the 3rd week of January. Yeah. We're already booking. I'll put in the new shows, and and we book out way in advance. So we're already booking for March. Actually, I think we've got most of January, February is already booked for next year. So please, if you have really interesting shows or stories of people that aren't maybe comfortable, but how we engage subjects. So this would be a safe place that we could be together for an hour.
Yeah.
And those are the shows that actually get me interested. This show this past week with the woman who was on the media, who got such media attention in America, asked to be on the TV shows in the US, and then she comes on our show instead. Like there's just a beauty in being able to hold space for that, right? So that was for me a really important show. Yeah. I also would like show ideas. Next year, I would like not only to be continuing the shows, but I'd like that we even come up with some different concepts. And I've already been preparing that. One of them is I'd like for us to walk the streets of Amsterdam live and ask people a question.
This is going to be amazing.
And that might be once a week we do this, once a month. And I'd love people to pose the question, what's the question we're going to ask people on the street today? And we'll walk the streets with the camera, with the mic, which I've got all set up. I've even got a long mic so we can do a
COVID-free interview.
A COVID-free interview. And that would be something I'd love to do. I'd also like to evolve to live studio audiences because we've got a big studio in this building. And of course, we'll have to consider where we are with COVID. But I'd like that once a week or so often we actually have 10 people that we invite in the studio, and then we do a live studio audience.
Nice.
Like another step forward in what we're doing. Yeah.
And we're gonna do all this.
No, we're not breaking that in. You'd love that, wouldn't you? Get us. Really?
No.
Are you ready to end it now?
I don't want to end it, Andy. I'm actually going to come here 5 o'clock and lie on your bed.
So yeah, we'll be back 3rd week of January. What I'll do is we'll still be coming back. We've got all of the shows. We have 150 that have now been with our audio engineer. He edits them for quality. He cuts out all the nonsense. So a lot of what I say he improves on. And that those will be coming out over the next months as well. So it won't be that we're not there, but you'll find us on podcast. Anywhere you find podcasts, you'll be able to listen to Wonderful Chaos, abridged versions that are taking just the best parts of all the shows. Yeah. It's important for us as well, if you're listening, to share, to like, and do all that stuff. We don't ask. We haven't really asked, but it really is helpful. If we have listeners, and it's motivating. It's just nice to see a few people watching every day. It keeps us like active and wanting to be here. Yeah. For you, Bambos, any parting words? It's been 7+ months you've been on this sofa next to me.
It's been great. I mean, for me, these shows have also not only about getting to meet people that otherwise I would never ever talk to, but it's really helped me connect with the parts of myself which haven't been easy. I mean, you've also seen me show up being really suppressed when I'm going through hard times, and you've helped me also through those times, even though that must not have been easy for you. Or I know it was like, okay, or you're going to be here or you're not. And so I really want to thank you for taking this journey with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. It's really felt like, I've looked at like the last 20 shows we've done. And the last 20 shows we've done, it's been feeling like we're both showing up fully in whatever's arising for us. And that's just been really beautiful evolution. Learning how to navigate things that, like, when do we interrupt a person when they're talking in their head too much? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You as well with your fingering. And how do we engage them in a way to say, can we deepen the connection? Can we find a place where we all connect on a very human level and not just the intellectual side of things? And yet sometimes the intellectual side of things is also great. Some of those shows have been some of the best ones we've done as well. So it's not one or the other. I think it's can we meet each other where we are?
Depending on the context.
Yeah. Depending on the context.
Context is everything.
So we thank you all. We thank especially the people that have been with us day after day after day. JC has just said thank you.
Thank you,
JC always gives me joy, because if he writes me, he'll always at some point say he's comfortably confused. So if he's listening to us, has no idea, he still listens and just says, I'm okay with my confusion, which is great. We also have JC is also another episode, which I really loved. And the reason why I love an episode with JC, who's a swim coach for his entire life, is it highlights a life and it celebrates it. And there's something beautiful about celebrating a life of dedication. And you notice, even in a way, he coaches us, because by being there, by cheering us on, by celebrating our activities, there is a lot of love that carries us on. And that's the kind of thing that I love to share and to create in the world. And it's just that joy that I think that this has brought me in the last 7.5 months. So this is the parting time, Bambos.
And we're going to do that one.
You really want to end this one. Yes, Bambos, we're going to do that on
Wonderful
Chaos.